Welcome back to the Joyful Mate podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Hartcher, your Joyful Journey mentor. This podcast is all about bringing more joy, happiness, and fulfillment to your life. And today I'm sharing an episode on me, which is really relevant to anyone out there that's looking for more joy, happiness, and fulfillment. The reason why I'm sharing this episode is it's been a challenging few months, actually, and it's come about because my health's been challenged. And health is one of my highest values in terms of who I am. I identify myself as the healthy man, and I've lived a relatively healthy life, and I do it every day, and I'm always looking to improve my health in any way I can. So I'm looking and educating myself on health. I'm listening, to podcasts, YouTubes, reading papers, research papers, and getting information and understanding the information and applying it to my life. So it's like one big experiment. I love experimenting with my health and seeing the outcomes. However, in recent years, it's been quite challenged in terms of diagnosis of atherosclerosis, which is coronary artery disease. And it's, I took a back seat when I was diagnosed with that, in terms of, so maybe I haven't been so healthy, and you start questioning yourself. But how this is relevant is when you're living by what's most important to you, you have unstoppable momentum. You have this certainty about you, regardless of what people are telling you. And these are experts. So what my cardiologist was telling me, what my doctor was telling me, what mainstream medical was telling me. And so I really felt, in taking my path in managing this, that I was going against the grain. I was certainly going against all medical recommendations in terms of what I thought was best for me. And I had a degree of confidence, but not 100%. And it's been a difficult road, but I must say, a very enlightening road, a very eye-opening road. And I've learned far more, I must say, over the last couple of years through this diagnosis about my health and what works. And I started to question a lot of what mainstream medicine promotes. And it's really led me to wanting to share this, because when you're living by what's most important to you, you feel authentic, you feel certain, you're confident, and you really enjoy the journey, regardless of what's happening, regardless of how challenging things are. So the key takeaway for you is, I'm going to continue with the story, of course, but the key takeaway from this message is just live by your values and be authentic. Don't be misled or misguided off that authenticity. So, the GP's been telling me for years that I should take statins to manage my cholesterol. I have really high cholesterol, relatively, I guess, to what they reckon is ideal, what they like. My cholesterol's high. Yes, it runs in the family, so there's a familial genetic component to this. And I've also got coronary artery disease, which is calcification of the artery, particularly the artery where the blood flows into the heart, so where the heart gets oxygen, and which really supports the heart function. So I've been told to take statins, and I'm thinking that's just so not aligned with who I am and what I advocate. I advocate a drug-free life. Obviously, drugs have their purpose. If someone's not willing to put the effort in and put the time in to devote to their health, then yes, I agree with taking medications to manage your health. But if you're willing to own your health and put the time and energy in and the investment, then I believe you can do it without drugs. However, as I said, if you're not willing to do that, then yes, I totally believe there's a space for medication. And for me, medication is for those that don't have a high value on health, for example. I think that's what medication is there for, because medication helps them manage whatever they've got. But if you're willing to own your health and health is important to you, then I believe you can take a road without medication. And I'm proving it. So back to my stories. I was told, like, take these statins. You need to manage your cholesterol. If you don't take the statins, your coronary artery disease is going to get worse. And you will eventually have a heart attack and die, or have a stroke from high cholesterol. And so I decided, no, it doesn't sit with me. It just doesn't sit with me. I'm not taking it, not taking it, not taking it. So I've got these scripts sitting at my desk here, haven't actioned them, and I've got no intention to action them. And however, like, my doctor keeps telling me, you got to manage this, otherwise you're going to die. You're going to have a heart attack. You're going to have a stroke. And again, I just back myself as to, no, it just doesn't sit well. But I'm willing to invest every day into my health. And so I've gone about doing various things, like totally, transform my lifestyle. And it's been amazing in terms of, I feel great. So even though the way medical interprets my bloods, they're saying I've got problems, and I'm saying I certainly don't feel it. And they're saying it doesn't matter what you feel, you've got problems. I'm saying, well, I don't know about that. I don't necessarily agree. If I feel that I'm, like, I've got the energy, I've got the vitality, my sleep's relatively good, eating, based on what I think's best suited for what I'm managing. And I'm doing the opposite to what they recommend. So with high cholesterol, they recommend you cut out fats, don't eat any fats. I'm eating lots of fats. And, like, don't eat red meat, it's bad for your heart. I'm eating red meat. So that I'm doing a lot of the things they recommend me not to do. I'm eating butter, eggs, everything, things that contain cholesterol. And, I feel great. I'm energized. I am managing my cholesterol. And what was interesting about this is, in the past, I've sort of had this quite flatline, cholesterol readings, around 5 and 6 historically. And then at the end of winter, it crept up to 9.2. And the doctors go, you've got a major problem. I'm going to have to check your thyroid. You're not metabolizing fats, and you probably got a thyroid issue. You check my thyroid. My thyroid's fine. There's nothing wrong with my thyroid. And I'm thinking, okay, what does cholesterol serve to the body? What's the purpose? The purpose, like, cholesterol, it's not as if it's an enemy, right? It's like, nature doesn't make mistakes. Nature doesn't put something in your body or make something in your body if it doesn't serve a purpose. And there's plenty of purpose that cholesterol serves. It myelinate, it provides an insulation layer to our neurons. And that, that myelination is a protective layer, and it also helps our thinking speed. So the better the myelination, the faster the transmissions occur through the neuron. And so there's a great thing for mental health in terms of having good amounts of cholesterol, so that you can myelinate all these neurons and these neural pathways. I'm doing plenty of that. I don't have any mental problems. I've got great clarity. I'm learning information really fast. And anyway, so it does that. Then every cell in your body has a membrane, and cholesterol is part of that membrane. And the membrane serves the purpose of allowing what it wants into the cell and gets the garbage out. So every cell in your body needs cholesterol. What else does cholesterol do? Cholesterol is the backbone of pretty much your hormones. So all your sexual hormones, your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, is made from cholesterol. Then you've got, on top of that, a pregnenolone, which I guess is after cholesterol. It goes to pregnenolone. Cortisol, our daytime hormone, is also made from cholesterol, right? So the thing that's allowing me to do this podcast, cortisol, is also made from cholesterol. And then, for me, we need cortisol. We need cholesterol. If we don't have cholesterol, we can't make healthy amounts of sex hormones. Our vitamin D is the other one too. So without vitamin D, and this is probably the key part of the story, vitamin D serves all-purpose health. It's essential for immune health. It's essential for sexual reproductive health. It's essential for brain health. It's essential for energy. It's essential for bone health. It's required for everything in our body. We need healthy amounts of vitamin D, and we make it from cholesterol. Back to my story. So, my doctor's stressed out about this high cholesterol reading, and he's thinking, oh, you got thyroid problems. And yes, I can manage both thyroid and cholesterol with medication. And I'm thinking, well, I don't want to hear that. And then he's telling me, he's going, look, obviously, your cholesterol's gone from what's increased by 50%. It's gone from 6 to 9. And he goes, whatever you're doing is not working and you're going to die. And I'm thinking, I don't necessarily agree. And I'm certainly not taking any medication you give me. And so my thinking is that in winter, we don't synthesize as much vitamin D because the UV rating is low. And so it was lucky to get up to 3 and 4 over the winter. And we start making vitamin D at UV 4. In summer, the UV in Sydney gets to about 13, 14. And so, we can make a lot of vitamin D in the winter. And in the summer. And so what I've been doing ever since, sort of this spring's hit Sydney and the UV's been getting up to 8 or 9, I've been spending a lot of time in the sun without burning. I do it very safely. I don't burn. And you wouldn't believe this. My cholesterol is dropping. It's gone back to 6. Okay. And this is like only a few weeks after this high reading of 9. And I'm thinking, wow, yes, the body was preparing me for summer. It was saying, well, I'm going to manufacture or make sure I've got plenty of cholesterol so that I know what you're like over summer. You spend a lot of time in the sun and make a lot of vitamin D and all the other good hormones. So therefore, I'm going to make sure you've got a healthy amount of cholesterol in your system. And it's made from our liver. And I don't have any liver disease. Like I had liver tests done at the same time. My liver's not breaking down and dying. So it's healthy. It's working. And so my body just knows what I need at the various times of the year. And it would know based on, I spend a lot of time outside. And so I'm constantly feeling the cold, the warmth, the hot. I'm constantly in and out of the ocean. I'm constantly seeing the sun. And so my body is very in tune with the environment because I don't spend much time indoors. And so what I'm thinking in terms of my super high cholesterol was simply the body preparing me for summer to make the vitamin D that it's used to making for me because I spend so much time outside. Like vitamin D, is supportive against skin cancer. It's supportive against cancer. It really helps prevent autoimmune diseases, help prevent dementia, Alzheimer's. It's unbelievable. Really good for sexual reproductive health, fertility. It's amazing. It's like we need healthy amounts of vitamin D to produce, for males, testosterone, but for females, it's estrogen and progesterone. And that's what really helps your mood when we've got healthy levels of sex hormones. And again, we need to see the sun in order to produce the neurotransmitters such as serotonin, which is the smiley face neurotransmitter. And, for that's mood stabilization, dopamine, which is the reward and pleasure neurotransmitter. We need to see the sun for that, particularly UV light. And so my outdoor lifestyle is really supporting my health. I feel great. And at the same time, I'm able to manage my health. I'm always going to have high cholesterol, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. And I recently interviewed a doctor on the Health Up podcast, and he was saying that blocked arteries don't cause heart attacks. And there's a study out there where they did a side-by-side study. They had half the population. It was a fairly large study. It was in the thousands. Everyone was experiencing chest pain. 50% got a stent, and 50% didn't get a stent, but they thought they had got a stent. They had the placebo. And the ones that got the stent still didn't have any relief in the chest pain they were experiencing, and they'll no better off than those that didn't get the stent. So he's questioning the this whole thing of putting in stents when arteries are blocked, and he's saying his belief is that the artery is blocking because there's some, the body's building up deposit of garbage, essentially. And he's saying what I need to do is stop that buildup of garbage. And there's so many things that be causing that garbage. For example, there's nanoplastics and microplastics and things like that. There's pollution, heavy metal toxicity and all those sort of things. And so for me, like he said, look, your heart is really the way in which we connect to life, right? It's sort of this point of the heart is the heart. Like I'm trying to think of a way to describe the function of the heart. Like we have this, it's electromagnetic in a sense that if you're doing what you love doing, then it's resonating, and you have this synchronicity between the brain and the heart, and the brain and heart are in synchronicity. And I'm thinking, if heart disease builds up over like over the decades, right? It doesn't happen overnight. I'm thinking I spent a good portion of my life doing something that wasn't what aligned well to my values. It wasn't totally fulfilling. I've switched careers now. So I'm predicting that this blockage in the heart will dissolve, and I'll clear up my heart based on I've got this alignment between what I'm doing and what I love doing and what resonates with my heart. And I totally believe that the blockage was me not following the direction of who I am. And now I'm doing that. I'm living a fulfilled life by doing what I value most every day, and make sure every day I'm doing that. And if it's not aligned to my values, I don't do it, such as taking medications. And I feel great. And although I'm going against the grain, and I thought, what's the appropriate title for this episode? I thought, go your own way. Go your own way. And so that's what I'm encouraging you to do, is although it might go against society, it might go against some norms or whatever, or it might, you don't have the backing of the people you want to have the backing of. Sometimes you just got to back yourself. And that's the other part of the subtitle to this episode, is back yourself. So go your own way and back yourself when it's aligned to who you are and your most authentic self. And you'll be your most authentic self when you're living each day by what's most important to you. And I'm doing that. Although, there'll be people thinking I'm being unhealthy by not taking statins and eating fatty foods and all this sort of stuff. But when I look at the literature, I've got literature, research supporting what I'm doing. And so there's a body of evidence that medicine follows that believes it's not supportive. And then there's a body of evidence that I've found that is.